There is a specific failure that does not appear on any performance review. You prepared the analysis. You understood the problem more completely than anyone else in the room, and the decision was made without you, not against you, around you. By the time you spoke, the question had already been settled in terms you did not set, and your contribution was received as commentary on a conclusion that was no longer open. You have been told this is a confidence problem, that you need more presence, more gravitas, more of whatever the last leadership offsite was selling. This is a misdiagnosis, and it is an expensive one, because it sends you to correct your personality when the failure was structural. Authority is conferred by position. Influence is manufactured before the room convenes. These are not the same currency, and the people who outmaneuver you understand the difference precisely. They are not more charismatic than you. They have simply learned that the person who defines the problem usually wins the room, and they define it early, while you are still preparing to be reasonable. Consider the mechanics of an ordinary decision meeting. A question is raised. Someone offers the first framing of it. Someone tables the first specific option. From that moment, every other participant is no longer choosing freely. They are reacting inside a reference point that one person installed. They will argue the option, refine it, occasionally reject it. What they will almost never do is notice that the boundaries of the conversation were drawn before they arrived, and that they have spent the meeting decorating a frame they did not build. This isn't a modern corporate defect. It's an ancient martial strategy. And the exact same play has been run for 2,500 years by operators who owned absolutely nothing on the organizational chart. Take 480 BC. The Greek fleet is trapped at Salamis, and Themistocles holds no supreme command over it. The allied admirals outrank him, and they intend to withdraw the fleet to the Isthmus, a decision that, by the political weight in the room, is already made. Themistocles doesn't win that debate. He removes it. He sends a secret message to the Persian king, inviting the encirclement of the straits overnight, so that by morning, retreat is no longer an option anyone can choose. He didn't change the vote. He changed the timeline, and the choice dissolved. The primitive is sequence. You do not need to carry the room if you act before the room's decision is enactable. Move to the Akan courts of West Africa, and the Okiame, the chief's linguist. He holds no royal authority of his own, yet every word the chief speaks passes through him before the court receives it, elevated, filtered, recast from raw edict into diplomatic instrument. The chief is the source of authority. The Okiame controls the form in which it lands. The primitive is frame. Whoever governs the delivery mechanism governs the meaning the room is permitted to act on. And in the Kuru court of the Mahabharata, Krishna arrives as an envoy throneless in that chamber, holding no command over the assembly he addresses. He does not come to negotiate toward peace. He comes to define the terms so narrowly and to set the moral reference point so deliberately that the court must reject even minimal demands and own the rejection as their own. The primitive is anchor. The first concrete position dictates every reaction that follows it. 3 cultures, 3 centuries apart, one identical structure. And notice what every single one of these systems has in common. The person holding the actual title is always in the room. They are simply not the one the room is listening to. None of these operators waited for a title. Each understood that power is seized at the speaker's platform, not conferred by rank, and that the platform is available before the meeting, not during it. So let us dismantle the structure they were all running, because it resolves into exactly 3 operations. The first is the anchor. The first concrete number, option, or framing introduced into a decision becomes the gravitational center the entire discussion orbits. Every subsequent contribution is measured as a deviation from it. This is not persuasion. It is a property of how groups process reference points, and it operates whether or not anyone in the room is aware of it. The second is the frame. Before a group decides which option, it has already, invisibly, decided what kind of problem this is: a cost problem, a risk problem, a speed problem, a people problem. Whoever installs that classification has pre-selected which arguments will sound relevant and which will sound beside the point. The frame is decided before the options are, and it is decided by whoever speaks first with conviction. Your organization will try to tell you that decisions are made by the people accountable for them. Your own calendar, if you read it honestly, already knows otherwise. The third is sequence. The order in which positions enter a room is not neutral. The first, credible proposal sets the baseline. Everything after it is amendment. By the time the careful, complete, well-prepared contribution arrives, it arrives as a reaction to a structure already standing. Here are the 3 diagnostic markers. Run them against your last consequential meeting. 1. Who circulated the problem statement before anyone gathered? 2. Who tabled the first concrete option once the meeting began? 3. Who spoke early enough to set the anchor before the frame had hardened? If the honest answer to all 3 is never you, then you have not been losing arguments. You have been arriving, consistently, inside an equilibrium someone else constructed, and no quality of preparation can win a contest whose terms were fixed before you entered it. 2 scenarios drawn from the ordinary machinery of corporate life. A budget reallocation meeting. The competent operator builds a meticulous case for funding. They wait for the agenda to reach them. A peer far less prepared sends a one-line Slack message the night before. The real question tomorrow is whether we protect committed revenue or chase unproven upside. That single sentence is the trap. By the time the meeting opens, the room is no longer evaluating initiatives on their merits. It is sorting them into committed revenue and unproven upside, a binary one person installed, and the operator's carefully prepared case is now defending itself against a classification it never agreed to. A vendor selection. A new manager with no purchasing authority wants a particular platform chosen. They don't lobby. They volunteer to draft the evaluation criteria, the administrative task no one else wants. The criteria they write are neutral on their face. They also happen to weight precisely the dimensions on which their preferred vendor leads. The decision is made by people who outrank them, who believe they decided freely inside a choice architecture the manager authored. No authority was exercised. The frame did the work. This is what the decision science confirms. The first mover in a group negotiation captures a structural advantage that does not depend on status. The anchor effect distorts judgment even among people who know it is operating. Choice architecture, the framing and ordering of options, reliably determines which equilibrium a group converges on. None of this rewards confidence. All of it rewards structure, which is the entire point. It transfers the lever from personality, which you may or may not possess, to architecture, which anyone can build. The uncomfortable part is not that framing works. It is that it has been working on you cleanly, repeatedly, and to your distinct disadvantage for the entire length of your career. So here is the countermeasure. It is called the Frame Precedence Protocol. 3 moves executed in order before the meeting begins. 1. Pre-circulation. Define the decision in a single sentence and distribute it to the relevant parties in advance. Not a summary, a framing. The sentence that classifies the problem is the sentence that pre-selects the answer. 2. Reference option insertion. Arrive with the first concrete proposal already specified. Not a range of possibilities to discuss, one reference option, complete enough to anchor against. You are not asking the room to invent. You are giving it something to react to. 3. Sequential primacy. Speak early. Not loudly, not at length, early enough to set the anchor before another one hardens in your place. The objective is not to dominate the conversation. It is to be the reference point the conversation orbits. Watch it run. An individual contributor wants their team to adopt a new technical standard. They have no authority to mandate it. 3 days before the architecture review, they circulate one sentence. The decision this week is whether we keep absorbing the maintenance cost of fragmentation or standardize now while the cost is still small. That is pre-circulation. And it is also a frame. It has already classified the status quo as an accumulating liability. They arrive with one concrete migration proposal, costed, sequenced, that is, reference option insertion. And in the first 90 seconds of the meeting before the senior architects have set their own framing, they state it. That is sequential primacy. The decision is ratified by people who outrank them, who experience the outcome as their own considered judgment. The contributor never possessed authority. They owned the frame, and the frame owned the room. You do not need permission to run this. That is precisely the error the protocol corrects. The instinct to wait for seniority before speaking, which guarantees that by the time you speak, someone else owns the frame, and you are reacting inside it. Which leaves one question, and it is not a question about technique. The frame for the decisions that will define your next 3 years is being set right now, in rooms you are not in, by people who understood this earlier than you did. The protocol is learnable in an afternoon. The only variable left is whether you will run it before it is run, one more time, on you.